I'm trying to read a little bit more up about Palantir. And I got to be honest with you, I follow Barrett Brown on Twitter, and it seems, as far as I can tell, has waded the most deeply into this territory. But I have not followed these stories enough to sort of really understand really all the players and what's going on. And, I just am trying to catch up on it, and I cannot. But it's fascinating to see, really this company, Palantir, which I think has been involved in so many insidious things over the years, like a private spying company. And makes you wonder what Peter Thiel is up to. I mean, to a certain extent, understand, and I've said this before, we just a lot of times see the shadows of stuff. And when you see Peter Thiel going after Google, it just makes me believe that he's got some type of search product that he wants to launch. The key with this is to let the giants fight and hope that both of them are so injured at the end that some of us Lilliputians can maybe sort of restrain them in their weakened state. But this is pretty fascinating. This is on CNBC. You have the Palantir co-founder, Joe Lonsdale, defending his other co-founder, Peter Thiel's comments against Google, saying Google is clearly not a patriotic company. I got news for you. None of these companies are patriotic. But go ahead.
Google's in a tough situation because there are a lot of people at Google who are from a culture here that's not very nationalist, and China's in a very nationalist place. So, yeah, I think that Google probably needs to reevaluate what it's doing. Peter and I built a very patriotic company. Google's clearly not a patriotic company.
Not a patriotic company. That's kind of dangerous and alarming language to my ear. Who's American enough? What's unpatriotic about Google?
Well, Google comes from a culture that comes from an academic culture, and you talk to the deans of engineering at top schools, and they're worried about this too. There's a culture where people in the universities, they want to be open, they want to share with the whole world, and there's nationalists in China coming and taking whatever they can learn and taking it back and using it for their own nationalist purposes, where that's really not how we think about the world. It's two very different cultures that are clashing right here. And when you work with China, you have to be nationalist, you have to help the government. When you work with America, we have a country where you're allowed to push back and where people from that culture do push back. So it's a tough situation they're in.
Joe, I mean, is there evidence, is there reason to believe that, for example, foreign intelligence agencies have actually infiltrated Google?
Oh, everyone in the Valley knows that the Chinese government's very involved there. When you talk to people who are senior at Google, the reason at first they didn't want to go into China was because they knew everything would be stolen. At this point, they know everything's stolen anyway. This is not a secret. We've had at all of our companies Chinese spies that are caught. It's something we don't talk about a lot, but this is just a regularly known thing in Silicon Valley. It's very clear. What Peter's saying is something that we know, but I guess is not really discussed. So I think it was very courageous of him to talk about it.
All right, let me just say this. I do think there's an argument that there are some critical infrastructure and technologies that we need to keep as national secrets and national products. But the way to do that is government regulation.
Not nationalistic private corporations.
Not private corporations that claim that they're patriotic. And therefore, then we give them a pass on all the other insidious, horrible things that they do in the name of patriotism. Companies are not patriotic. They're not anything. They are machines. They're like sharks. They're killing machines, except for they just eat up profit. They don't care what spews out the other end or the sides or any of it. We should not expect any company to be patriotic. If we feel there are secrets that are important to the infrastructure and the national security of this country, then we should either nationalize those things or regulate them to the point where they might as well be nationalized.
I totally agree. And I just want to say this, not for point of making like, oh, we're hypocrites, but also this is childish. I mean, the United States and definitely adjunct companies does very much the same thing.
Well,
with regards to offensive spying, if we go back to the NSA revelations, we aggressively spied. I mean, look, it's easier when you say like, okay, maybe China, there's some parity in that relationship, but we're doing that to, I mean, one of the places we spied on most aggressively is Brazil. That means a lot to me, and I have no doubt in my mind that the United States played a role in everything that's happened there because of oil privatization. Frankly.
Without a doubt. I'm not demonizing China for doing what everybody else does.
I'm
just saying that this is the reality of the world that we live in.
Exactly.
And we should have a national security with critical infrastructure. We should probably also do this with our food supply. There should be a whole host of different things. And certainly we do this stuff, and these other countries I would encourage also to do the same.
Definitely.
The part of the reason why I have an issue with any interference in our elections in this country is the exact same reason why I have an issue with the interference of our elections by us in other elections.
Well, I like the Ro Khanna bill that I think he introduced in 2017, which is that in addition to condemning interference in our elections, that the CIA should follow the protocol that we demand be observed in our country.
Right.
I like that as the methodology.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, among many other things, Palantir, according to a report in Fast Company, email shows that ICE uses Palantir technology to detain undocumented immigrants. So, I mean, that's no surprise. Obviously, this is sociopathic growth. I mean, that's
guy, like that's like the model used for their software.
That's their core business model. So and Trump ran with that. So this is literally like contract dog whistling to a specific customer.
All right.